Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very pleased to welcome you to this today Britcham Smart Sustainable City Focus Group webinar. The title suggests the title Between Food and Technologies, Game Changer in Food Supply Chain. So today webinar will be focusing on the key innovators and all the thought leaders and who has been putting a great contribution and providing great innovation into the industry and the supply chain. And today our lineup is really, we have a really great lineup today, really covering the entire supply chain, you can say. We have AGS, which is represented by David, the CEO, who's in the innovation of vertical farming. We got Atif, Syed, the founder of Wootzano, who is in robotic of packing for fruit and veg. We also have Eka, who is the founder of TaniHub, one of the startup in Indonesia, who is the big player in e-commerce for fruit and veg. And we also have Chef Zaldy, who is the founder of Ottimmo Academy, who will share with us about the innovation in plant-based food. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over this screen to David, who is our first speaker, who is going to share with us the innovation in the vertical farming and the project he have done in Glasgow, as well as I believe there's been projects been indicated in Indonesia as well. Okay, David, the screen is yours.
So we're going to talk about how vertical farming can make a contribution to this notion from Britcham, Indonesia, about game-changing technology in the food supply chain. And my name is David Farquhar. I'm the CEO of Intelligent Growth Solutions based in Scotland. And I'm very grateful for the chance to share what we have with you guys today. So let me make sure it's moving. Okay, so we're an 8-year-old company founded by a real farmer and an engineer, which is an unusual combination, but it's the perfect thing to bring together to create game-changing technology in the food supply chain. We've invested a great deal in the technology to take all the risk away so that we can supply this to local farmers wherever we go in the world. And we're financed by the most active agri-tech investors on the planet, most of which are from the US. The platform we're bringing to you is the vertical farm that you can see here, which is capable of producing from seed the whole way to harvest with things like leafy greens in an urban environment. But the radical changes we've made in the last year, we're now able to grow soft fruits and vine fruit starter plants to go into polytunnels and under glass, because these are real challenges. The supply of these starter plants is extremely inefficient in world agriculture. So strawberries, chilies, peppers, all these kinds of things, tomatoes and so on. And then even more recently, starter plants to go out into broadacre fields. So you can see here our potatoes having successfully grown for 75 days instead of 18 months to get to a seed potato and then planted out and very successfully grown a crop. We've done the same thing with things like brassicas, and now we're doing it with forestry as well. So seedling trees for the forestry industry. It's important to understand that our role in the world is a supplier of optimized technology. We are not growers. We will not come to Indonesia and colonize your food supply chain. It is our job to provide you and local farmers with the best tools that we possibly can, because you know what the local people want. You know what's valued from a nutritional point of view and a health point of view. So we're the supplier. Local farmers are the growers. We all know that there are massive challenges with the food supply chain around the world, whether you're in a temperate zone, a tropical zone, a desert zone, it doesn't matter. The amount of arable land is reducing rapidly and the population is rising rapidly. So we've got to find a better way of doing things. We work with the new breed of urban farmers, maybe in a city like Jakarta. We can work with existing broadacre farmers, and we can work with indoor growers in things like glass houses and polytunnels. And they in turn serve these 4 major vertical markets, and everything that we consume as human beings ends up in our stomachs through one of these channels, unless you happen to be out in the wilds foraging a few berries. The big challenges are that the energy consumption has been inefficient and very high. We've patented a completely new way of powering LED lights that has managed to cut the energy bill by 50%. We've also managed to crack the ventilation problem. So when we put hundreds of thousands of crops inside a metal box, that is always going to be a challenge. Getting the carbon to them and removing the oxygen and the humidity afterwards. And finally, we've managed to remove 80% of the labor cost. Labor along with energy are the biggest costs. Together, these things are radically changing the economics and bringing all the crops I described into economic viability. So when we think about things and make an investment in our machine, we always think about 3 things. We call it the 3 E's. Can you grow great quality food? If you can't, don't plant the seed. If you can't make money, don't plant the seed. And if you're going to destroy the planet, don't plant the seed. But if you buy an IGS farm, go ahead, plant the seed. So thinking about that range of crops, you can see here everything from our strawberries to our chilies here. These are radishes and baby turnips. These are edible flowers for salads. These are baby trees here. And these are our seed potatoes. So everything grows much faster. It grows much cleaner. And it grows at economically competitive prices. By the way, as well as edible flowers, we've also got customer in France growing them as botanicals for the perfume industry. We have a fantastic environmental footprint. So water is a scarcity in some parts of the world. A broadacre field needs 250 litres to grow a kilo of lettuce, a greenhouse 20 litres, our system 1 litre. We have no hydrocarbons, no pesticides, no emissions, and we can collapse the food miles by co-locating close to the point of consumption. So what we make inside our system is 3-dimensional weather, the sun, the wind, and the rain. Each of those dimensions has about 8 major factors, and each one of those has an almost infinite number of possible values. For example, the spectrum of light that your crops require. But even the huge mathematics and computing power to generate that through our machine is not sufficient on its own. We need to think about the fact that the plant needs different recipes of weather from when it first seeds and germinates to when we're hardening it off for harvest. We need to think about the 24-hour diurnal range. The crops need a sleep at night. Then they need 18 hours of perfect sunshine with a sunset and a sunrise in between. And we must give them their growth seasons. Our machine can do all of these things, which is unique. And then finally, we need the agility to change the space. So each one of these trays, they are 30 centimeters apart. They are 6 square meters. Inside the towers, there are 2 racks, each with 25 trays. So 50 trays inside the tower, 6 square meters each, a 42 square meter footprint. This will grow 25 tons of crops a year, about the same as 3 to 4 hectares outside. Extremely efficient from a land point of view. Each one of those trays is a microclimate, so we can actually grow 50 different things in a single tower. And each one can be 6 degrees warmer or cooler than the adjacent tray. We can double space them for strawberries. We can triple space them for potatoes. So very, very flexible, very efficient, a modular system that's capable of generating any climate in the world. Here, for example, Tuscany in Italy. Where are we today? Well, we are rolling out in the locations you can see here. You'll notice that there is a flag at Singapore. There is a flag at Jakarta. And that is because going from Europe to the Gulf to Southeast Asia and Australia, New Zealand, and now into North America, we are working with partners like Christian Proksha, who I know is on the call, and his company, Eden Towers. And on their website, they've already announced their intentions to go across the region, which is extremely exciting for us. And I'll invite Christian to say a quick word in a moment. Where are we going by 2024? Well, we're aiming to have somewhere between 14 and 1,500 towers deployed across the world in somewhere between 75 and 100 different facilities. And we're already on 4 continents, and we're aiming to be on 6 continents by 2024. So I think that is my 7 minutes. If you would like to see it, I'll put it in the chat in a moment. The Economist made a fantastic film about us. Type in Economist and Blood, Sweat and Dreams. We are in the first film at 11 minutes 55, and there is a fantastic 5-minute section, very high quality video, all about IGS and our technology. I don't know, Christian, do you want to add anything to what I've just said?
No, hi everybody. I think 2 years ago we spoke on a similar topic actually in Jakarta, if you remember, to Britcham as well. Yeah. And a lot has happened in your technology, and a lot has happened also in Indonesia. But we're definitely in very advanced discussions to start the design and hopefully mid next year the construction of a farm not too far outside of Jakarta city center in BSD city. So we're very excited, and something that will definitely help change the way that produce is made in Jakarta.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Christian. So that really concludes the presentation from IGS. I'll put the link to the film into the chat here. And so, please carry on, and I'll be able to join in the Q&A at the end of the session.
Thank you, David and Christian. Very good timekeeping as well. Very impressive expansion you have at the moment. I think I can see quite a few questions already popping up. Very keen to get to know your product more. We'll cover that in Q&A. Okay, so next we will go to Mr. Atif Syed, who is the chairman and CEO of Wootzano. They are specializing in the robotic technology of fruit fruit packaging. Atif, the screen is yours.
Great. Good morning, and for the guys joining in from the UK, and good afternoon from everyone joining in from Indonesia. I'm Dr. Atif Syed. I'm the chief exec of a company called Wootzano. We build robotic systems, very dexterous robotic systems. Our robots are particularly designed to do tasks which humans find it very intuitive, things which we find it very easy to do, but robots find it very difficult. That's where robots come in. And our vision for the company is really to democratize robots so that we can integrate robotics in all sorts of areas. And we obviously started off with a huge problem within our customers, which is the packaging industry. So one of the issues, or big issues in packers of fruits and veg or soft produce, is that robots or machines are not able to handle all aspects of the packaging. So they are left to find many temporary workers, and the problem really with that is, even if you do find people, the consistency of products you're packaging, the quality of products you're packaging is not consistent. You won't be able to find people with the right skills, with the right capabilities to do the packaging, understand the quality defects. And on top of all of that, a lot of the packers, they spend millions of pounds in just recruitment fees and end up making 1% to 4% profit margins, which is very razor cut. So they need to innovate, and they need to bring about robotic systems. But robots currently are not able to do that. So that's where we came in and build robotic systems. So our robots, we build the full robotic systems. So the manipulators, it's sort of the arm, we build the end effector, the fingertips, it's sort of things which go and pick up different produce. We do grapes, tomatoes, vine tomatoes, avocados, kiwis, melons, mangoes, quite a few soft produce. And the end effectors are quite different. So there's just a couple of examples here. You can see the tomato picking is slightly different to the grape picking. Our robotic system is one of the only ones currently in the market which can detect what the product is within a fraction of a second, identify the quality, identify the species, if it's defective or not, estimates the weight, so you don't need a weighing scale. It knows exactly what the weight of the product is. It then goes ahead and, let's say, for example, table grapes, which are very complex to handle even by humans. The robot understands exactly the weight of individual berries. And if it needs to snip off some of the berries because of quality, as in it's not good, or it needs to snip off because it needs to reduce the weight to go into the end packaging punnet, then there's a snipping end effector which goes and effectively finds the stem. It's also intelligent because even if it doesn't see, or the robot can't see the stem, it predicts where the stem is going to be, depending on the orientation of the grapes and the huge database we've collected on various fresh produce. So the robot is very intuitive and dynamic. One of the things which makes the robot quite sensitive and dexterous is we build an artificial skin. It mimics the human skin. It mimics what the human skin does. So the robot is able to know the forces, the pressure. So when the robot picks up a product, it knows exactly how firm it is, how soft it is, or how hard it is. And based on that, you can do quality analysis. You can understand, is it good produce or not? Or is it ripe or unripe? All those sort of things. You can do that when the robot picks up. It also measures contact temperature and humidity. And when you combine all those data together, we can predict shelf life. So we can actually tell at the point of contact and the point of pick what this produce, how long the produce is going to last before its own immune system sort of dies and the product contracts gray mold, botrytis, all those sort of diseases. So you can have intelligent packing or packaging whilst the robot is picking. The robot is very sensitive. In fact, just as a comparison, it's on the human skin. We have the fingertip is one of the most sensitive, human hand, the fingertip is one of the most sensitive bit. And it only has 241 mechanoreceptors. We have billions of these nanowires which sort of mimic what the mechanoreceptors do. And so the robots are infinitely more sensitive in terms of identifying minute changes, minute movements. So the robot can actually pick up and very dexterously place products without damaging them and apply the right amount of force. And one of the unique bit and a huge part of what the system does is machine learning and AI. So the robots really learn from themselves and other robots in a distributed network. So every time the robot picks, regardless of which robot you buy, they're constantly learning, and they send information to our AWS cluster. And sort of, if you imagine or compare it with Tesla cars, as the car is driving on the roads, you identify and get lots of information about different road conditions. Similar to that, the robots understand different environments, different conditions, different fruits, different orientations, different types, and we then effectively re-upload or re-update the models. So robots are faster. They find intelligent ways of picking and processing, intelligent ways of snipping or identifying defects. So all of that is there. So the robot is self-learning and evolving as it goes forward. There's a small video. I'm just gonna put it on. Just make it a bit. I'm gonna fast forward a bit, but just as an example, this is one of table grapes, just a process of table grapes. Within seconds, it's able to do, it's actually doing it much faster than I can talk. So the robot can, within at 1-2 seconds, the robot has detected what the grape is it good or not, did a 360-degree analysis of the grapes. Then it also knows if it also estimated the weight of the product. And once everything is done, it goes towards a final end, and effectively the end effector comes in, picks up, applies just the right amount of force to pick and place. This image is just sort of showing what the robot is seeing. So it's seeing different images from the cameras. We use LiDAR and stereo cameras, use them, a combination of them, to get depth of exactly what the robot, where the robot needs to pick and how much it needs to pick. and it can also do different sizes and shapes, so it can have different varieties. So it doesn't matter where it is, how big or long or short it is. It can process those and more intelligently. I'm just gonna skip it a bit more to get to show how the robot is snipping. So when the table grape comes in, it knows exactly where it needs to snip based on the weight it estimated. And once it knows that, the snipper comes in and effectively finds the stem and snips it off so that it can have, so the robot can then pick up and place into different punnets which requires it. It's a very intelligent system which knows exactly how much grapes are being packaged to what's actually needed. So it can in real time update anything required. So So I think from our side, why do you need our robotic system? Our customers currently are using this. They're getting a consistent and reliable pick and packing. Because of the cost of the robots, one of the biggest issues with robots is that they are too expensive, or they may be too expensive. Our mission was really to make robots accessible and affordable so that people can start integrating them. So the return of investment to packers on an average is about a year, depending on how much you're packing in a year. So you reduce overhead cost and you get your money back within a year of buying the robot. Our robot is the only system currently out in the market which can handle these products with higher dexterity. The self-learning capabilities means every month, every 6 months, every year, you feel like you're getting a new robot, pretty much, because it's learning and adapting. And if you do decide to then package different fruits, it's a very simple fix, very simple change of end effector, which will effectively enable the same robot you have to start picking tomatoes and buying tomatoes and avocados, kiwis, and so on. We are also in the process of getting, just recently, we're starting to do meats as well. So we're doing beef, chicken. We're also looking at processing fishes and how do we handle fish and packing plants and so on and so forth. So again, it was a very short presentation, but really to show the capabilities of robotic systems and what robots can really do right now and what robots are doing as we speak. Because a big misconception with a lot of packers and growers and fresh produce growers is that robots are too expensive. Even if they can do the job, it might be too expensive. And from our side, they're not expensive. They come and speak to us. They're fully within most packers' price point. So that's really it from my side. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Atif. It's very interesting technology coming our way. So next, we have Pak Eka from TaniHub. TaniHub is, for most Indonesian, must have heard of this e-commerce. It's a very much talk about e-commerce recently, especially during the pandemic. And so yeah, Pak Eka, I'll give the screen to you to do the presentation now.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Eka. I'm the CEO and co-founder of TaniHub. So like what we're doing, to be honest, is actually something that is way simpler than what the two gentlemen are doing. Because to be honest, Indonesia probably has more problems on the more kind of like earlier stage compared to like probably in the UK or in Europe in general, where the agriculture is more developed. So like yeah, if you don't mind, if I present something which is a little bit more simpler than everyone else, I guess. So we let me see. Okay. So like the Indonesian agriculture sector itself, it's the third largest contributor to the Indonesian GDP. It is the only sector that is growing during like the pandemic, and it is actually the sector that is that we think that is the most untapped in terms of potential. It's a $125 billion sector where actually most of like the players are actually smallholder farmers. They're very fragmented. So usually they only sell their produce at a smaller scale and only to like the very local market there. So within the range of probably maximum 10 kilometers from their farm. This is a sector that is that actually employs the most workers in Indonesia. Almost 30% of Indonesia's workforce actually works around the agriculture sector. So this is how significant this sector is. So we can say like, this is such a significant sector to our economy. Meanwhile, it's the most traditional, most left behind. There's no, and it's so inefficient. Like talking about like these farmers, they're usually smallholder farmers. Like 92% of the Indonesian, of the 33 million farmers in Indonesia, 92% are smallholder farmers, where usually they only own less than 1 hectare of land, and they rely on middlemen and aggregators, typically up to 7 or even 10 layers, depending on the commodities. And they always, there's always a lot of food waste that happens within the supply chain. So I myself, I regularly go and meet these farmers. I talk with them because I just wanted to understand like different supply chains from different kind of commodities. And the average of the food that's just wasted because of inefficient supply chain is almost 50% from farm up to the end consumer. And we started TaniHub because at that time I was trying to figure out like why farmers did not have a proper access to banking, to finance, and why are they always categorized as the typical high risk type of customers. And actually it's not because of like the risk of cultivation or weather or whatever. It's actually the risk of not having a market. And this is also, not having a proper market for the farmers to sell their produce also causes them to downsize. And this is why they have, the government has so many programs of giving farmland, since years, like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, the government always has this plan to like give farmland, free farmland to people, to farmers, but it never works because a farmer can have 10 hectares of land, but when they start planting, they spend money to buy seeds, fertilizers, but then when they harvest, no one's there to buy it. And this is why they downsize their land plot, and eventually they end up like not capable of having economy of scale. And though it sounds simple, but as a farmer, you have to match the quantity that the market needs, the quality. So the market can have like the same quantity of demand, like 5 tons of tomatoes, but the market wants grade A, but the farmer only has grade C or grade B, then there's no match. And number 3 is they have to have the timing right. So even though you have the good quality that matches the market, good quantity too, but then the market needs it 3 weeks from now. Meanwhile, you're harvesting exactly now. Then these products are perishable. So that doesn't make sense. And when you deal with these 3, you also have another. You have to deal with the price too. So if the price doesn't match, there's no deal. And the 5th one is when everything, when quantity, quality, timing, and price match, but the farmer does not have the capability of managing the fulfillment. It could leave the farm as grade A, but arrive at the customer as a grade C because it's damaged, it takes too long to transport, it gets hot, and then it ripes. So this is why, like the Indonesian, for me, how we see it in TaniHub Group, we see it as like an entire supply chain that we have to fix. And the best way to fix it is with tech, which is like what we do right now, which is like to aggregate from the smallholder farmers, and then like we match it with the incoming demand. So we make a forecasting to the farmers. We make a forecasting on the supply as well as the demand, so that we can match the exact like produce with the demand. We also help farmers like plan their cultivation, and if they don't have so that they have no idea of like what to plant, and we can give them recommendations. Because right now Indonesian farmers, they typically only see, okay, my neighbor is planting tomatoes, I'm gonna start planting tomatoes too. Like there's always this FOMO, and this is why the prices in Indonesia is really fluctuative. I mean, prices everywhere in the world is fluctuated, but Indonesia, we have a central bank that's monitoring the prices of chili peppers and also garlic, as well as like shallot. It's because the farmers here, they're FOMO, like, okay, the price is good in the market, my neighbor's planting, I'm gonna plant too. So everyone also harvests at the same time, and that makes the prices drop significantly. And what we're trying to do is actually give them like a more understanding of like what the forecast of the demand would be, as in the quantity as well as the pricing. So the farmers can, we're trying to smooth out the supply and demand between the farmer and the buyer. We also have a funding arm called Tani Fund. So we help them buy quality seeds, quality inputs, so that these farmers can make sure it can minimize the risk of a crop failure, as well as like increase the quality of the crops. Because 1 hectare of grade A tomatoes is twice the value of 1 hectare of grade B. So this is why, like, and meanwhile, like the effort, the time, and everything else is the same. The difference is just on the knowledge as well as like the seeds, probably. And the seeds not significantly different. So this is why we focus on that. And the last thing is, apart from the marketing, the funding, we also do the supply chain, the entire supply chain. So the farmer does not need to send it themselves, because we're afraid that it gets damaged on the road. So we have mini hubs everywhere near the farms. The farmer just goes there with his motorbike or like bicycle, drop the goods, and then like the packing house does the fulfillment, sends it to our warehouses near the cities, and then from there it gets distributed to the B2B as well as the B2C customers. So this is just an illustration of one of our top selling fruits, the cantaloupe. So basically, it like from before, it goes through several layers, and through us, TaniHub platform, we try to help decrease like the price disparity, because we do most of like the aggregating of the supply as well as the demand. And we're located like in several cities around Indonesia, but most of, I would say like 98% of our activity is still in Java and Bali. We have 56 farmers on our platform, 56,000 farmers on our platform, and all of them we aim to have an increase in their income, overall income, whether it's from better pricing or better like demand. So there are some farmers that we can't help them get a better pricing, because maybe it's because the logistics is a little bit tough. But with a higher demand, with a more predictable demand, they have the courage to plant more, and that's why they produce more, and then they earn more. On average, they have a 25% increase in their income, and a better term of payments, because if they work with some middlemen, or if they supply directly to some aggregators, sometimes the payment is is 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. For TaniHub, right away, we process the payment immediately because we work with banks as long as they open a bank account. This is why all of them have a bank account, because we encourage them to have a bank account to build credit history with the banks, so that they later on can get lending from the banks. And we're working with digital banks because one of the banks I'm also like working with is like Bank Neo Commerce. It's a digital bank. We try to give lending based on like the e-commerce kind of platform activity. So they don't need collateral, but if their activity in the e-commerce or a platform like TaniHub is good, is good. It's just as good as a collateral, because it's just like the track record is important. We've also dispersed almost like 25 million US dollars for like the farmers to fund them to cultivate. This is some of our facilities. I mean, this is our like in the middle. There's our like headquarters. We have like a flagship warehouse in Cikarang, and we have a processing center here where farmers usually just come with and bring their anything that's round, any round fruit we process. I mean, it's a very simple, not as high tech as the others, but it's just to grade anything that's round, to grade like the size, the ripeness, as well as the sweetness, because we have a bricks. The sweetness of a fruit is bricks. So we have a bricks meter. So if it's really sweet, we put it, and the size is good, we put it to like the grade A, and we have grade B, grade C, and all of these grades go to different markets. So the B2C, the end customer, we only give grade A, but there are industries where they just want to make juice or whatever. They don't need beautiful fruits or vegetables, so we give them the grade C and D. So grade does not mean it's rotten. It's more of like the size as well as the shape.
Apology, Pak Eka, 7 minutes.
Okay, and this is the.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, perfect timing. Thank you, Pak Eka. That is a very good introduction into like what's it look like on the ground and the challenges that you face in Indonesia. Certainly not an easy one. Last but not least, we have Chef Zaldy from Ottimmo, who will share with us their innovation on actually now we're a complete circle from farm, from David, all the way to the table by Chef Zaldy with the plant-based food innovation that is being served. Right, Zaldy?
Thank you, Bu Ellen and Britcham, for the opportunity. I'm going to share a slide, and after the presentation, I will show a very short video. Okay, my name is Zaldy Iskandar. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the director of Ottimmo International. Ottimmo International is a culinary academy based in Surabaya. In 2020, Ottimmo begins to promote and incorporate more plant-based cooking into its curriculum and class lesson phase. Let me briefly explore the structure of the curriculum and class experience at Ottimmo. The first 5 weeks of culinary arts classes, all students, or we call it the trainee chefs, are exposed to a complete theory classes and the know-how of the culinary world. And this year, we will emphasize more on the importance of plant-based cooking, plant-based food or plant-based diet, and most recent technology is the plant-based meat. Now, all trainee chefs must endure 16 weeks of complete culinary classes in first semester. And for the next 11 weeks, after the week 5, they will get the hands-on practical sessions. Practical sessions mean they are involved in cooking, cutting, and food preparations. In terms of plant-based, and if this includes cooking process of foods derived from plant sources such as fruits, vegetables, grains, pulses, legumes, and nuts, then I would say 10 to 20% of Ottimmo practical lessons has implemented plant-based cooking. Now, let's talk about the plant-based diet or the plant-based food ingredient. What can we eat on a plant-based diet? Here at Ottimmo, we call it plant-forward eating habits. Focus on foods primarily from plants and the relatives. And I'm talking not only fruits and vegetables, but also nuts, seeds, oils, whole grains, legumes, and beans. And also, I would like to make clear here that at Ottimmo, we're not trying to alter anyone's mindset in becoming vegetarian or a vegan, but simply because we want to introduce another healthy eating habits and maybe reducing, not omitting animal intake in our everyday diets. Now we come to the idea of plant-based meat. I'm sure everyone aware of this new type of meat substitutes made from plants and manufactured or fabricated to feel, taste, and appear like real meat. Plant-based meat are healthier than regular meat, of course, as they are considered lower in saturated fats. Currently at Ottimmo, we can produce our own plant-based meat, but we are heading towards that in the future. And at the moment, for our plant-based meat classes, we are using brands such as Alpha Food, Beyond Meat, and Impossible Meat. As maybe some of you know, that Indonesia has a large variety of heritage cuisine, which is delicious. And healthy, and yet falls into the category of plant-based food. So our next movement in our every of our culinary class, which is considered plant-based cooking, we intend to replace all meat in most Indonesian cuisine that doesn't consider as plant-based food. And one of the most famous one is satay. Now, this is our view from Ottimmo towards plant-based concept, which includes some pros and cons. And these are the pros. The pros are, one of them, they are definitely rich in vitamins, minerals, fiber, and antioxidants. They're also very quick to prepare. They have a great positive impact towards the environment and also reduces animal exploitations. And since they are low in cholesterol and saturated fats, but high in dietary fiber, they may prevent heart problems. These are the pros that we consider at Ottimmo. And also they have cons. One of them is they can be very perishable. You might get deficiency in certain nutrients such as iron, calcium, and B12. When I'm talking about B12, this is very important because B12 can only be found in animal protein. There's also a big possibility that you don't get enough complete protein from plant-based diet, since plant-based proteins are incomplete protein source unless they are properly combined. And here at Ottimmo, we try to learn these protein combinations. Before I end my presentation, I would like to say that at Ottimmo, we encourage students, we encourage the society, we also encourage all the chefs to incorporate plant-based into their healthy diets every day. How we do that? We sometimes do competitions, so we give them rewards when they create recipe that doesn't include animal protein. They will get a reward. Now I'm going to show you a two short video about what we do at Ottimmo. Thank you everyone for the time.
Okay, thank you, Zaldy, for the presentation. Okay, for now we are going to go into our Q&A and session. I can see that like there's been a few questions being popping up, and it's been very efficiently answered on the text box. But I'll have a question for David, Christian, and I think Bayeka as well here about the supply, the potential for the food supply that leverage like technologies such as vertical farming and greenhouse farming. How do you think that may contribute to the Indonesia food supply chain?
Christian, you probably know better than I do.
Sure. Look, when we looked at vertical farming for Indonesia, we really looked at where does a lot of the produce come from. And as Eka said, the logistics and supply chain is actually very complicated. And as part of that, not only the food waste, it's the freshness, it's the price, it's the availability, that kind of triangle of quality, cost, and supply that vertical farming can solve. Now, when you look at it from, the farm that we're planning in BSD City will sit on about 1,500 square meters. That can produce up to about 240 tons of not only leafy greens, herbs, edible flowers, but also those other crops that David mentions, like chilies, the propagation plants, as well as for the industrial sector, for flavors and additives, etc. So, vertical farming solves more than just giving a leafy green into the value chain. There's a lot of other uses that can be used as well. But specifically from a food perspective, we're able to produce crops at a wholesale pricing in Indonesia level. And what I mean with that is, say, a lettuce or so at under 20,000 rupiah per kilo, which is quite unique in vertical farming. And that's because what we've been able to do is combine the IGS tech with the business value model that we have in Indonesia and a little bit of innovation as well around that to really make it cost effective. And that's not just in Indonesia, that's Singapore and Australia as well. The other thing that the vertical farming does for you is it takes the seasonality out of it so that every year you can grow the same crops. You don't have to worry about weather or storms or floods, etc. So there's a lot of factors around it. But the hardest thing is to get the economics right for vertical farming, which we think we've cracked, especially for a country like Indonesia as well.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Waika, do you have any experience or comments on like farmers that you come across as like within this fields of like this field of specialty farming?
Sorry, Ellen, who were you directing the question?
Eka, actually, from TaniHub.
Okay. Sorry, could you repeat that?
Oh, yeah. So earlier was, my question is like, how do you see the potential of like the vertical farmings or the...
I see it as a huge potential, especially for me in the supply chain. Actually, I just contacted, I mean, I contacted David to see if we can work together in the future, because I think, for example, we want to reduce carbon trail. That's one thing that we want to do. And for big cities like Jakarta, we kind of need to do like if we want to reduce, stop buying from far away, because most of the vegetables in Jakarta are provided in Lembang, all these regions that are 200 kilometers away. And it takes like 5 hours to transport. And, we have a lot of waste due to, like the transportation route to be quite far. And vertical farming, I think has a huge potential in that, just for like certain cities. And like, so what's going to happen to like the farmers in Lembang? Actually, the demand for like the cities around Lembang is still high. So we want to maximize maximize like the matching based on the location. And as for like the bigger cities, it's better, it's supplied through like the vertical farming, because the increase in the price can actually be compensated by the savings of the logistics and waste. So yeah, so that's kind of like my view on the vertical farming potential.
Thank you, Pak Eka. Okay, moving on. We got a few questions on the question box from Daisy. For Chef Zaldy, what do you think the plant-based future could mean for the farmers?
Okay, I think the plant-based trend is moving forward right now. And when we talk about plant-based, that means we grow lots of vegetables, we grow lots of beans, and I think that's very good for the farmer.
Okay. I think there's a question from Julia, but the varieties of the food and plant products, I think that was covered already by the presentation by David and Chris earlier. I have a question for Atif in regards to robotic technology. Have the technology been studied and implemented for developing countries, for developing country context, and does it work from feasibility wise?
I think the last part, the technology, is the technology developed for the developing countries?
The question is, can it have it been implemented in any developing countries such as Indonesia?
Right. So yes.
Asia?
So we are in discussions in getting these robotic systems out in China, and we've been in contact with 3 people in Singapore, Malaysia, and India. I think one of the key things why these robotic systems are being implemented or being looked into was the price point at where we're coming at. So the robotic systems are very affordable, and because of that and all the added benefits that robots are giving, it gives basically it's a no-brainer for people to go and implement these systems. I think in the recent sort of couple of years, 2-3 years time, India and China specifically have been one of the in Asia, one of the biggest markets in terms of packaged fruits and veg. People are preferring to get packaged fruits and veg more than open markets, and not the most, but it's growing at the fastest rate in Asia. So that's also very good. I think that consumer trends which are going towards that side of things as well. People are also happy to pay a bit more to get a packaged fruit as opposed to non-packaged. So all of that is acting in favor in getting robotic systems in place. Now, I don't see the robots in the next 6 months or 12 months fully taking over most of Asia, but I do see that in the next 2-3 years' time, a lot of pack houses will be getting or will be starting to implement our robotic systems because of the added benefits and the price point.
Okay, thank you, Atif.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ellen, Julia asked a question about the variety of crops. I would go back to the photo that I showed earlier. Everything from literally tree saplings and flowers through roots like potatoes, radishes, turnips, things for the open field like brassicas, soft fruits like blueberries and strawberries, vine fruits like peppers and tomatoes, and then obviously the leafy greens. So a massively wide variety, but you can only do that in a vertical farm if you have total control in a system like ours that's been designed for that variety.
Okay, thank you, David, for the answer. Right. I think we already reached the end of our webinar today. It's been a very great presentation for our panelists here and very active questions as well from our audience. I'd like to say thank you as well for our sponsor, Brompton Bicycle, G4S, and Jakarta Land. It's been really great hosting all of you here. We learned a lot today about the technology that is implemented already today, and I'm sure will be more to come in our near future. That's it from me. And then thank you again very much for everyone who's been listening and speaking in this event.
Thanks, Helen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Helen.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.